Hi, I'm Dawn, and this is where Shabby meets Bling. It's still summer, but in here and in here, it's Halloween. This is Twisted Sisters Booty Call. I'd like to thank our host Tracy from Tracy Vanover Designs and my fellow guest hosts Martina from the Secret Craft Room and Monica from Up All Night DIY. You're going to find the links to this playlist and their channels in my description box below. I found this shelf on a recent, very successful thrifting trip. There are many really cool elements that make up this shelf, but for now, I just want part of it. I just want that part that has the little wood applique. So although I'm going to be keeping all the components, that's all I'm going to use. So now I need to disassemble as usual. Another thrifted shelf, and this one was only $1 and I got it a long time ago, but I got it for the wood. I got it for that wood shelf part, and I'm going to disassemble this as well. And we are going to Frankenstein up a sign is what I'm going to do. But we need one more component that is thrifted, and it's this thing. And this thing was originally from Hobby Lobby, but I got her at Goodwill, and she is a little dinged up. The letters themselves are MDF, and some of them are coming off already. Some of them you can see there's chunks out of them. So I'm going to remove all the letters. I will keep the letters that are in good shape. Even though I don't like MDF, I'm going to keep them anyway because you never know. And the rest of this sign is wood, which is a good thing. And this is going to be part of our new sign. Now I'm filling any gaps, any dents, or holes in all of my pieces. For this piece, I'm using spackle. For the other two, I will be using a wood filler. After I've filled everything that needs to be filled, I let it dry overnight, and I come back and I sand. I sand all my components nice and smooth. So here's the 3 thrifted pieces, and this is a piece of old wood trim out of my house, and I'm going to cut that in half and put part of it on the top and part of it on the bottom of that sign I removed the letters on. And I did fill it one more time, that sign, because it didn't smooth down as good as I wanted it to. But this is the layout of my sign. And I need to marry all the pieces together so they look like one. So I'm creating a template out of cardboard to create a curve that will follow from one piece of the sign to the next piece of the sign down to the part that we removed the letters from. And now this guy gets a second sanding, and we move everything outside to get some good cuts from that little template that I made. I used that template to draw lines on all my components, and now I'm using the jigsaw to cut the excess areas off that I do not want. I cut one side, then I flip it over and I cut the other side to make that nice little curve. Then I focus on the piece of wood that has been cut in half, because now it's going to get its curves as well. Here's a good look at it after it's been cut. And you can see that my little cutouts are absolutely perfect. Same little cutout everywhere. Before I can go any further, I need to remove that applique. And it did not want to come off. It was wood glued on. After fighting with it a little bit, it eventually came off in one piece. This has now been glued, wood glue, clamped, and braided into place. I filled a few more holes, which I will sand all of this out as soon as it's completely dry and I can handle it without the clamp. Now we need to make this sign come to life, and here comes the fun part. I get to paint. I am using an antique white flat house paint. Just a flat. I have gotten so much out of this can of paint. Seriously, guys, invest in a can of house paint or two. I am painting the entire thing white. It's going to take a couple coats. I've got a couple different colors of wood stain here to cover. So a couple coats and then we move on. I cut this template out of brown packing paper to take with me to go shopping for the new letters that I'm going to put where I took the old letters off. Now, I had quite a few letters myself, but I needed a few more. So I went to Hobby Lobby and picked up wood pile letters. Now, I'm going to be spelling out Broom Valet in this space. So first things first, I'm going to give them a coat of ink chalk paint. After the front of them are dry, I flipped them over and I used a small dowel rod for each one because I want these letters to stand off of my sign. I want them to look dimensional and they're relatively flat. So I'm taking small dowel rods and I am cutting them to size and adding them with some 3-in-1 glue to the back of each one, just like that. And now I'm going to paint all of the back, all of it black, because I don't want anybody seeing my dowel rods. You know, I have problems. I don't want anybody seeing the mechanics and how things work. So they've got to be covered up. So we give all of this a nice coat of ink chalk paint by Waverly. Couple coats later, we're nice and dry with that white paint. And now I'm coming in with Waverly pumpkin chalk paint to hit that middle section where my woodpile letters are going to go. And I'm covering this entire area with this beautiful, beautiful pumpkin. Boy, it is a gorgeous color and I'm really feeling that Halloween vibe. After I get this area painted pumpkin, I'm going to add some sticky stencils. I'm going to add more verbiage on the top and on the bottom. For my letters, I am using the font EFCO of Brookshire because I think it's a beautiful. The font size of my letters, the large ones are going to be 400 and the small ones are going to be 395, and my numbers that I'm going to make are going to be 360. Keep in mind, these sticky stencils are not made with a Cricut. They're not made with any kind of cutting machine. And to see how I do it, you can check out my video, Sticky Stencils. I'll leave the link in the description box. Trust me, if you don't have a Cricut, can't afford it, don't have room for one, this is the way to go. My paint that I use to seal my stencils are completely dry. That paint is dry, so I'm continuing now with black. And now this black is a house paint. It is a flat black interior house paint. And I'm going to add kind of another final sealer over my stencils because I don't want any bleeding. With this many letters and as fine as they are, it is time consuming to go back and fix any bleeding. My sign is going to have a white border because I like the looks of it. You're probably feeling a little bit of a Harley Davidson vibe at this point in time, but keep in mind, it's just gotta come together. Have some faith. This is gonna be more Halloween-y than Harley Davidson. But to get that nice little edge, I am taking my brush and I have been using one of my my pretty paint brushes. These brushes are amazing. And you just run some paint onto your board and you slowly work it towards the edge with your brush at an angle, and you can pretty much draw almost a perfect line. Voila! 2 coats later and overnight to dry, it is time to remove my sticky stencils, and I'm just using my blow dryer because once again I don't have the fancy equipment that a lot of my buddies do, so I'm just making do, but it works just fine. This is an old blow dryer and you just heat up the sticky stencils and they basically just peel right off. And once these are completely off of my board, I'm going to mix up some matte Mod Podge, a copper and a pumpkin glitter and I'm going to coat the orange area, that pumpkin orange. My letters are dimensional, but I want a little more dimension on this sign. This is a paperweight. I picked up 3 of them a long time ago. I have already used one of them in another video, another project I made, and I'll place the link to that video in the description box below. But first thing you need to do with this guy is to get that velvet covering off. And once I do that, I'm going to use simple Windex and my little glass scraper to get everything else off of this little paperweight. So what goes behind the paperweight? How about a moon? I jumped back into Canva and printed a couple moons off. Not sure which one I'm going to use yet. I'm going to see how they look behind that little paperweight before I decide. But I'm going to cut them both out and we're going to give them a test and see which one I like best. So you can see which one I chose. I think it looks a little more along the lines of what my sign is going to look like, so it'll fit in a little better. I'm cleaning the back side of my little paperweight really well and make sure it's really dry, and then I'm just gonna coat the heck out of it with Mod Podge. I got the Mod out, and I feel like this is gonna be my best bet. My good friend Monica and I from Up All Night DIY, we discussed the best way to do this and we came up with a few ideas. So I'm going with the Podge to glue my moon onto the back of the paperweight, and then I'm going to use a touch of hot glue in the center of this thing when it's dry, of course, and 3-in-1 around the perimeter to glue onto the sign itself. So we shall see what happens. Good luck. I grabbed this old beat up flagpole at my favorite resale shop for $1. It made me holla. And I'm going to take this thing to the chop saw and we're going to cut it into these pieces. These are going to be pegs, and you figure I paid $1 for 5 pegs. How much would you pay to go purchase 5 pegs? Plus I still have quite a bit of the flagpole left. So I'm going to sand off the tippy tops of these just to round them off a bit. Going to paint them black, and we're going to glue them to our sign. Just a little bit more dimension. I picked up this little bag of little wood cutouts at Goodwill for $1.29. I thought they were adorable, and I'm gonna have some bats flying around, especially around that moon with his little winky eye. And I just hot glued them onto my paint stir, and I'm gonna give them a coat of black ink chalk paint from Waverly. All my components have been glued onto my sign, and now I'm going to use this hardware to put a hanger on the back of the sign so I can actually hang it on my wall. You cannot have a broom valet sign without hanging some brooms on it. Now check out these brooms. I have picked all 3 of them up at Goodwill, not at the same time. I've been harboring this little beauty in my storage shed for at least 2 years now, and she was only $2.99. And check out the weaving on that. How cool is this old broom? Absolutely love it. Then we have this really cool thin broom, which is pretty darn amazing too. And I paid $2.49 for this one. And finally, I found this one. This is my favorite. It is gnarly and snarly and twisted, and this was the most expensive broom at $4.49. Well worth it. The craftsmanship is quite something on these beauties. Can't wait to hang them on my sign. My sign is finished, and the only thing left to do is to share it with all of you. Welcome to the Salem Club, where for a small fee, you can park your broom. Here's a really good look at our moon. There was a happy accident while I was gluing the moon. The glue seeped through and created a crater-like effect. Here you can see the dimension of my broom valet letters. It even creates a shadow. I don't think it would have the impact without that elevation on those letters. And look how pretty just that very subtle glitter looks behind those letters and those cute little bats. Now let's take a look at our numbers, because you have to know which broom was hung where if you're going to get the right broom back. No witch wants someone else's broom. I will be making corresponding tags to go with those pegs soon. And how about those brooms? There they are. That one kind of looks like a pretzel, doesn't it? I think they look amazing hanging there. I am all decked out in this part of my house for Halloween. A little early, but hey, is it? I am really thrilled with the way my little broom valet sign came out. Thanks again to Tracy, Martina, and Monica for hosting and co-hosting this first, but not last, Twisted Sisters collaboration. You're going to find the links to their channels and this fabulous playlist in my description box below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, share it with your family and friends, anyone that likes thrifting, repurposing, and Halloween decor. You can follow me on Instagram and check out my shop on Etsy. Ring the bell for notifications of all my upcoming videos. Make sure to leave me a comment. I love hearing from you. The best way to support my channel is to subscribe, so don't forget to subscribe. But for now, this is Dawn with Shabby Meets Bling. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.